Today's podcast is going to be a fun one. I'm here with my sweetheart, Tracy. Say hi, Trace.
Hello, everyone.
And we're going to start out with from a dental billing social media Facebook group and start out with their post. And it starts like this. Quote, "Hi all, just a quick question. My sister went to another office closer to where she lives, and this was her treatment plan. I'm just wondering, I've never heard of C codes before. Is that a common practice? In my opinion, things like astringent and the bond material should be inclusive to the fee for the filling, right?"
And you should hear those social media responses.
And we begin our podcast right there.
Welcome, all of you fantastic dental podcast listeners, to the My Practice, My Business Dental Podcast Show, where we help dentists profit and thrive with excerpts from the clinical business of dentistry training here at My Practice, My Business. We'll be addressing and answering questions with current trends dentists and their teams face each and every day in their pursuit of this wonderful career we call dentistry. And now, the host of our show, the clinical director and president at My Practice, My Business, Dr. Rob Thorup.
Well, it's really interesting. We came across, we're members of a lot of different groups, and this one's a dental billing group, which we have team members that are part of. Whenever we see information propagated out there, our team members will bring it to our attention. We're also part of it. I'm part of a lot of groups. Tracy's part of a lot of groups. We like to see what the pulse is out there. And Trace, say what you just said earlier.
Well, this is the inherent problem right here. We've got people who don't really understand their state laws, their contracts, and they're trying to find an outlet, a way to understand this dental insurance thing that we have to navigate all the time. And so this poor person is asking a question because she's confused. And
well, no, I'm not gonna give her that much, sweetheart. So the reason why I have Tracy here is because I always have caffeinated moments whenever I'm reading this stuff. And Tracy's here to reel me in, but I'm going to say that she put it out there, and then she starts listing her thoughts and her knowledge base of life in general. So I'm not going to give her any slack, but I am going to say she's like all the rest of the people out there in the dental field. They don't know what they don't know. And so I'm really actually kind of excited to talk about this. What she does is she posts something on a public domain. I mean, it's a private group, but it doesn't matter if it's private. If you're out there, it's now public. Mm-hmm. And we're not going to list any names. I'm going to try not to.
Yeah.
But the thing is I am going to post this podcast, have one of our team members post this podcast on their domain, and hopefully these wonderful people will better understand maybe just how wrong they are, and they don't get it. So I'm looking at the treatment plan right here, hon, that she so kindly posted out there on the social media world and said, look at this stuff. Just look at it.
And by the way, for those of you listening, this is line itemed. It is a treatment plan showing tooth numbers, descriptions, fees, insurance. It's pretty intense as far as all the information that's being shared on social media, which is pretty interesting. I don't really know what the rules are with that.
And if you're going to share this information, we could start using names on this feed, but I don't want to, personally embarrass people, but I want to talk about this. And I'm going to read to all of you listeners what is on here, okay? Upper right, ferric sulfate. Upper left, ferric sulfate. Upper right, on-pharma buffering medication. Upper left, on-pharma buffering medication. Upper right, 2D intraoral photo. Upper left, 2D intraoral photo. Upper right, regional block. Upper left, regional block. 3M, Scotch Bond, enhanced material. It doesn't say enhanced, but that's what it's implying. Resin, because I'm not going to get into it right now.
Not yet.
Yeah, I'm trying to hold back. and then, of course, a 2391 code, resin-based composite, and then, again, 3M Scotch Bond and resin-based composite. Now, I do want to hit this right now, Trace, while we're on it. The total for the treatment is showing $624.50.
Good for them.
Exactly. Good for them is right. Because what you're going to hear from all these people, number one, they have no clue, and I do mean no clue, The majority. There's a few talented individuals in this feed that we'll point out, but they have no idea what their direct operating costs are per hour, let alone the cost of goods applied to the direct operating cost per hour, let alone how much it takes to, how much time is involved in the procedure to offset the direct operating cost per hour just to run the business. That does not even include corporate profitability. Now, it just happens that we know who this office is, and they actually have put in my opinion, it appears to be a big whopping 6% corporate profit margin.
Yep.
They're hoping hygiene's going at the same time to hopefully squeeze out, and if there's double hygiene going on in this office, they're going to only squeeze out about 24% corporate profit margin, which is absolutely terrible because dentistry is supposed to be retail, not wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let me, the name of this podcast, by the way, we've named it Cite Your Source, okay? Because this is where Tracy and I get really frustrated. Now, here's the whole thing that I'm going to point out. Patient gets choice. This is showing a buccal pit on tooth number 2 and 15, or a buccal surface. Now, a lot of offices will not put a class 5 designation, even when it goes down to the gum line, because it still gets billed out the same, insurance pays on it the same, it's still one surface. Again, knowing this office, I'm sure that the decay is probably hovering around the gum line. So if they tag the gum line, which everybody does, it's going to bleed. You don't want it to bleed, so you're going to shut it down with ferric sulfate. Ferric sulfate is a medication, and we'll get into that in a minute based on the comments that were made, okay? And then 2D oral facial image is to prove the need for treatment.
If they need to.
If they need to. If they didn't already, they should have taken that at the treatment planning phase. So the 2D image is actually there if it goes bigger. And that way it's built into the treatment plan. So when you don't use it, you delete it, patient goes up front, they actually pay less than what the treatment plan proposed.
Instead of not telling them about the intraoral photo, not having it in the treatment plan, and then you need to take an intraoral photo to prove the need for treatment. What happens then?
But wait till you read the thread, Trace. Yeah. It's free. It's free.
All free.
Yeah.
It's all free.
Okay. So then, that's nickel and diming. We're getting ahead of ourselves.
Let's talk about the pharma.
I'm going to hold back. On pharma, a buffering compound. Wonderful stuff. I am 100% convinced that none of these wonderful repliers even understand what the costs of what the direct operating costs to deliver one carpule of anesthetic. They have no idea what that costs to practice. Well, let me share with you. It's $36 just to deliver one carpule of anesthetic with all the costs of goods and the doctor's time. And if it's a hygienist time, okay, it'll be a little less, about 7% more. Having said that, the buffering compound makes that injection super comfortable, and they don't leave the room. They're ready to go in under 2 minutes. So it's better for the patient. They're there less time, and it makes the anesthetic more pronounced. What a concept.
Which, by the way, I am not a fan of needles. I hate being numbed. And the last time I remember you were doing the palate on me. You were doing some stuff, and you used that on pharma. Amazing. I will not use on pharma. I mean, I will not use on pharma in the future. I love that stuff.
Yeah, it's way better. Anyway, but what if the patient doesn't want the buffering?
Then we don't charge.
Then they don't get charged for it. Okay. And then when it comes to bonding, there are cheaper bonding materials that have sensitivity associated with them, and then there are more expensive. Wherever there's a differential in cost of goods, is the practice's opportunity to offset the losses they take in being a paneled provider for a third-party payer. That was taught me back in 1991 and is still true today. But we'll get into that in a minute because I really want my friends on this feed to know the truth and not the BS that's being propagated.
And by the way, because we know this office, we do know that they have a baseline bonding material that they do not charge for. But if the patient wants an enhanced bonding material that costs more money, gives more comfort, not so much sensitivity, it's going to cost a little bit more. So that is an option for the patient.
Perfect. So let's truck on down this dental billing, coding, and insurance academy feed here, okay? This is, and we're going to, it's going to be really hard for me not to use at least first names.
Hey,
but
heads up, you are welcome to say what you feel and what you think on these things.
It is on a public thread, even though it's a private group. Mm-hmm. So the person responding to the first person's question, she says, "This is an office I wouldn't go back to. They are charging $25 for photos. Seriously?" Then the person says, "Right." And then the next person says, one of my insurances." Now, okay. So next person says, "One of my insurance does have a higher contract fee for it, more than $55 for intraoral pics. So that's allowed." I'm going to stop at that person. Wow. There's somebody that actually might have a instead of office manager, a business manager thought mentality right there.
Well, and really, she's saying, listen, $25 is nothing. The insurance companies will allow $55. And if the insurance companies are advertising that their big deal is they save the patient money, then that means the fee-for-service fee for an intraoral photo should be higher than $55.
So the next person responds to her and says, "I'm not arguing the allowance or not. I'm not saying, some of these sentences, I'm going to have to conjugate myself. It's a ridiculous charge for pictures you're taking. We never charge for intraoral photos. It's nickel and diming patients for no reason. Oh my crap, Trace, I'm going to blow a gasket. Okay, my little sweet friends here. All right, let's have an intelligent business conversation. What does that camera cost you? What does the software cost you to process the photos? What is the time involved in taking the photos by the person taking them? So when you say we don't charge, that's
there is an insurance company that will allow almost, I want to say $25 now for intraoral photos.
Yeah.
And they will pay 50% of that.
But people, I'm sure, know more than Tracy and I, who eat, drink, and sleep insurance contracts and state laws. You are so much more business smarter. Nickel and diming. Let's just go there. Okay? First of all, it's a CDT code. All right?
In your contract, it states that the provider agrees to submit all CDT codes performed.
So, with that being said, are you really nickel and diming, or are you shortchanging every team member in there and the doctor in your practice and cheapening your skills and cheapening the business delivery of the oral health care you provide? Let me put it this way. I'm old enough to have lectured for Dentrix when intraoral cameras first came out. I lectured on digital imaging and radiography. Insurance companies, which I'm sure you know, insurance companies actually allowed anywhere between $18 and $37 per photo, just like they did x-rays back in the late 90s and early 2000s. But I'm sure you already know that. And I'm sure that you already know that the insurance companies stopped covering the charges because of a thing called frequency that Tracy has gone into multiple times. And that's how the insurance companies are able to increase their profitability, by no longer covering things that have high frequency to them. So who's being nickeled and dimed? And can I just say to you right now, do you know how many insurance provider reps have talked to us and have stated that the insurance companies are actually the ones nickel and diming the providers because they're trying to provide a product to their clients that shows a huge discount, not what they cover, but they want to show a discount. That's why they have you send in your fee-for-service fees. Look, folks, you couldn't be more business wrong. And I'm going to say it over and over again. If you worked for me and that was your thought processes especially after going through our business classes, you're fired. I would not have you working my practice. But having said that, you don't know what you don't know. So more add on that?
Yeah, I'm thinking of the situations where I have submitted claims or heard of offices submitting claims, and the insurance companies have denied it due to it not being medically necessary, no proof of need for treatment. And those intraoral photos are very powerful to protect the patient from additional charges. And I would rather have them pay for an intraoral photo proving the need for treatment than the entire treatment because insurance deems it not medically necessary.
And when you do free dentistry, you're the problem. You are the absolute problem. Your number one job is profits and profitability in a practice when you call yourself an office manager. Okay? We turn office managers into business managers, but that's a whole different animal. Okay, so let's go back to the next one down. Next person states, quote, off topic a bit, but my mind can be different. I am pedo. Enough said, right? Already, I'm just going to interject right there. God bless the pedodontists. They work in a whole different world. Continuing with the quote. I wonder if this dentist is in this group and saw this post and this document given to the patient possibly looked familiar, causing them to lose bladder control for a moment, end of quote. Well, let me tell you something, my friend. If I were I am the doctor. I'm looking at this and I'm going, wow, there's finally a practice right there who understands insurance contracts and state laws. The only person that's losing is you and your team.
Well, and loss of income means you're going to be scrambling to make up that income. And that means adding patients to the schedule. That's going to mean, unfortunately, charging for things that you didn't do, which is a big problem for me.
So the next one down is, quote, my sister had the same good point. Quote, my sister had the same thing happen, but she didn't end up getting any work done. Then the author states, same city. I wonder if that's common there. I surely hope not.
It's common.
Yeah, and it's becoming more and more common. In fact, I'm going to state it right now. This type of building that you're seeing right here is exactly what the executive director of the American Dental Association, let me tell you what he said to Tracy and I in a very awesome meeting. He stated, every office that is trained by My Practice, My Business is going to be able to transition to the new coding that is coming down from the ADA, which will be more like medical coding. They'll be able to transition so much easier than any other office out there. Because guess what's coming, my friends? This type of transparency, this type of coding, we've just been ahead of the curve for 25 plus years.
You know what's really funny? And part of me wants to save this entire conversation. And when the new coding comes out in 3 to 5 years, they're estimating, I kind of want to pop them up and kind of go, what are your thoughts now?
Yeah, exactly. It's the next person down. Look up My Practice, My Business. They're a company here in Utah that are teaching dentists to do this. I don't know everything about it, but I've tempted in some offices that do this, and it's interesting. Well, my good poster friend, it's beyond interesting. It's actually something that increases profitability in a practice, is legal, ethical, because I'm going to go back to the bonding agent conversation. Isn't it more ethical to offer high value add to the patient instead of low value add? Insurance companies reimburse us for the least expensive professionally accepted treatment. This is why offices choose to purchase the least expensive products, or they're using Filtech and they're just giving it away at $40+ a gram. But most offices will buy lesser bonding agents because they look at the research and they say, oh, look, the bonding agent is super strong. It's just about 5 or 6 ticks below Clearfill SC or Scotch Bond 2. And so they'll go ahead and purchase it. But what's on the back end is patient sensitivity and length, and even that little bit of decrease in bond strength causes the fillings to give up the ghost sooner than the other direction. And then there are techniques that are taught, like in the Coyce Institute and other institutes. There are bonding techniques that are amazing that allow the composites to go, 20, 30 years because of how they bond it.
I do have to say something about bonding because I think this is really interesting. In the contracts, you have to do bonding in order to do a procedure. And so when the insurance companies say that they reimburse for the least expensive professionally accepted treatment, yeah, it's going to be the least expensive bonding material. So there was one associate dentist who insisted that he did not want to charge for the bonding. And as a response, this doctor, the doctor owner, said, fine, you don't have to. We're just going to use the baseline bonding for your patients if you are refusing to charge for the better. He was using a better material. What was really interesting is 2 weeks into this agreement, the associate changed his mind because his patients were coming back claiming that they had too much sensitivity. And as a result, he had to do more work to kind of fix them or make things better. And so it goes to show that if you are going to not charge, that's what your option really should be from a business perspective, is use the baseline. And so these better bonding materials are awesome. They just cost more money.
Well, going back to this person who stated the name of our company personally, the author comes back and says, "Oh, I've heard of them. We almost attended a seminar, but decided against it because it was so costly. Glad we didn't." Well, my author friend, let me share something that's very vital for you to understand. Number one, we don't charge for our seminars.
Nope.
Number two, it's our business courses we charge for. And let me help you understand how it works. All three business courses, office manager front office training that we have noticed every office manager needs, regardless of how long.
Case in point, what we're reading right now.
Case in point, this whole social media post. Okay. Second, we charge $55,000, $5,000 up front, and then 20% of your increase, an increase that you've never seen. The fact that I'm looking at this treatment plan and you don't understand it, I'm looking at what this office is generating in revenue. But according to the insurance contracts and state laws, and you have no idea about them. So let me point out one more thing. The people that come through our training get to slow down, use high-end products if the patient chooses them, and baseline products if that's what they want. So they actually get choice in these offices that we train, which has been stated by the ADA and everybody else that it's more ethical. Our training is more ethical than what's happening out there in the normal field of dentistry.
Well, and I want to step back a little bit with the costly part. People look at the price of $55,000 for the training. What I love to emphasize is we make the offices $250,000 plus in order to get paid our tuition. And then once we're paid off, there's nothing else that they need to pay us other than dental docs. And so all that extra money that they've made.
And dental stats once they come through the...
Yeah, it's like... I don't think they understand. We are giving them the ability to make $250,000. And so there's no other company that does it that way. And that's why I love what we do so much is the proof is in the pudding with what we do.
And then if you talk to every office that we train, guess who makes more? The doctor makes more. The office manager, front office team members make more. The hygienists make more. Everybody makes more because there's actually cash flow in the practice instead of what we're seeing in today's market.
And they continue to see their PPO patients who are happy that they are educated and have the ability to choose.
Wow. There's so much more that we could elaborate on that, but we'll just let you noodle and chew on that for a minute. So next statement was by quote, "I'm pretty sure they charge to be a member too, but I could be wrong. I've heard it's crazy expensive." Again, end of quote. Again,
that's not
we
true.
You have no risk. No risk. It's such a hard concept for dentists and office managers to wrap their heads around. If you don't make money, neither do we. But we're going to give you so many pearls to make money that we don't even track. You're welcome. We've just given you the ability just by using state laws to increase by $7,000 to $12,000 a month of stuff we don't even track. But let's look at the next. Now, the next statement, quote, "No, they do not charge to be a member. They charge for the training, and they are the only company that will 100% guarantee their training. If you do not make money on what they teach, then the office pays nothing." Wow. That's obviously somebody who knows a little bit about our training instead of going to social media and just pinging it out there. Okay. Next one, quote, "I would definitely inform the insurance of what they are charging. That is ridiculous." Well, my little friend who starts with the T, let's go together.
Let's make the phone call.
In fact, I am going to state it right now. We are personally inviting everybody on this thread. We know who you are. Your names are there. We know who you are. If you would like to have a front seat at the Utah Dental Association convention at the end of January, on the Insurance Roundtable on Friday from 11:45 to 1:45, lunch is included and it's on us and you're welcome. If you'd like to have a front row seat, a VIP tour, and one-on-one with Tracy right after and myself and any of our team members, we're personally inviting you. Just call our office, identify who you are, and you are invited on that front row because your mind is going to be blown away. my little friend, that says that's ridiculous. Let's go to the insurance company, because guess what?
They'll be there.
They'll be there, and they know exactly what we teach. In fact, maybe you might learn if you come through team training, like all of our clients have. You'll see exactly what took place in the battle for House Bill 359. What a concept. And you'll see that the insurance companies know exactly who we are and know exactly what we teach and have confirmed and approved our training. What a concept. Offices struggle so hard because you don't know what you don't know. You need to stop that. You need to learn, be teachable, be humble. Next one. Quote, I worked for a real short time in an office that accepts HMO, and the office will charge for inclusive procedures and materials in order to make up for the low contracted fees. Well, my good friend who starts with an A, good for them. At least they're trying to figure it out.
And the one thing I want to interject in there is I don't think they would charge for inclusive procedures. You can't do that contractually, but you can charge additional services and for enhancements. And chances are this person doesn't quite understand. And one thing, again, if they are considered inclusive, what makes them inclusive? Who determines that? And are they truly inclusive? So that's something that I would question.
Next person says, quote, I'm surprised they're not charging the patient for bibs. Geez. No. Okay. Well,
it's just an attitude on that one.
I guess it's an idea. Yeah. Next person said, I'd be pissed if I was the patient. Well, you would be pissed if you were a patient that didn't understand. And if you didn't learn as an office how to present treatment to a patient with choice. Yeah. Patients that aren't explained to it. And there are a couple people out there that try to teach what Tracy and I teach, and they try to just muddy the water. No, you have to be completely transparent with the patient, and the patient gets choice. What a concept.
You know what would piss me off even more as a patient? If I went to a dentist and I had no idea that there were more expensive but better materials and additional services that they refused to offer me or tell me about because, I don't need to know. Yeah.
How many times do we have clients go through training and the dentist has put in a lesser implant, one that has leaking attachments? I would want an implant that does not have a leaking attachment, but I'm sure all of you in this thread know about that situation, right? You know all about the implant companies, what attachments cause peri-implantitis, or I should say contribute to it, okay? And you know the ones that don't. I'm sure you know that. And I'm sure your dentist is putting in the very best material each and every time. Well, I would hope not. If dentists are putting in Straumann and Nobel, I hope they're charging their patients an additional fee because those implants are expensive. Okay. Next person just says, quote, crazy, unquote. Next person says, what? Charging for bonding? Well, I think we elaborated on that enough. Okay. Next one. Interested in seeing the EOB. There's a lot of add-ons for being in network. Next person says, why medical and dental codes? Well, first of all, we're coming up on the person here. Another one says, beats me. And then this one says, those aren't medical codes. You're right, my friend with the D. They're not medical codes. And then the other person says they're not dental codes. The other next one down the chain says they're not either. It's a made-up code.
Perfect. Oh, like an electric toothbrush?
What? Did they make up an electric toothbrush code? Now, here comes the guy. Here we go. Quote, here is what is going on. Your sister went to an in-network doc to save money. God. First of all, don't even get me started. I'll continue. Notice the price of one surface filling, $98. This is known as screw the patient. The doc is unbundling the procedure. Note the code for bleeding control, anesthetic, buffering, and anesthetic, and a separate fee for bonding. This way, the doc gets back to about a fee-for-service fee for 2 fillings, $400 for 2 fills. End of quote. Well, first of all, my friend, you are right. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what we teach, that the insurance companies have taught us to teach you on, how to get closer to your fee-for-service fee. And guess what? No, it's not. It's not unbundling the procedure. In fact, if you understood what that definition means,
which I do have.
Oh, you
Wait
have
a minute.
Oh my gosh.
I do have that definition. So back in June, when we met with the American Dental Association, I made a point of stating the word bundling has been defined by the American Dental Association. Now, claims bundling is the distinct combining of separate codes in order to obtain or in order to reimburse a lesser amount to the doctor or patient for the patient. The ADA considers bundling to be potentially fraudulent. Now, if bundling is potentially fraudulent, what would unbundling be?
Do you even want to halfway give the definition or just let them noodle on that statement this whole time, huh?
The insurance companies, because it has not been stated yet what unbundling is by the American Dental Association, the insurance companies have taken the liberty to define it on their own. So they consider unbundling, a lot of these guys, to include gingivectomies and crown. If you charge separately for a gingivectomy with a crown, that's unbundling. Well, no, that's not a bad thing. You're billing out what you did. Now, unbundling is the distinct separation of CDT codes by a provider in order to prove accurate information with like what you billed out. Now, we're talking about additional services that go above and beyond LEPAT. This is not unbundling because
Again, Tracy, when you start talking LEPAT, we're talking to people who have never read their insurance contracts.
Okay, so LEPAT is, go ahead.
Least expensive, professionally accepted treatment. The key word, least expensive.
Well,
the two keywords.
My first dentist that I ever worked for, I love this because it just is clear to me that this doctor knew the contract. He knew he was getting paid for the least expensive way of doing the procedure. He refused to use astringent because it had a cost of goods increase. He didn't need to do the procedure without astringent. He used really cheap cord. And I remember when I was assisting him, I would actually pull out the cord and it would come out in little strings because it was so poorly made. He didn't want to buy the better cord. He did not use the better bonding material. And I remember that because patients would call me saying, hey, I'm sensitive from this procedure. Is this normal? I remember fielding quite a bit of phone calls with that. And so again, if that's how you want to do your business, that's fine because again, you're getting paid for that. But if there are additional services or enhancements that go above and beyond LEPAT, heck yeah, those are charges.
But it's either offices are racing to the bottom or offices are using some products, some materials, some medications, and they're not charging for them, so they're losing money. And medical would never do that.
No, anyway, not at all.
This next statement, how is this legal? Surely in network, they cannot charge these things. End of quote. Once again, surely in network, we can't charge. How's this legal? It's legal, has been legal since the beginning of days. Why don't you know about it?
There's a certain insurance company that we talk about during training. We'd show a lot of contracts, but one of them I'm thinking right now, it actually says in the contract, if there are additional services or upgrades available to the patient, then the patient needs to be told that there is a baseline available and it needs to be aware that these additional services or upgrades come at a price. The patient needs to acknowledge those additional services and the consent for those treatments. And so it's very clear with how it needs to be done and also acknowledging the fact that this office has the ability to do it.
And it's like, we won't, I mean, I want to get into non-covered services, but anything that's above and beyond is considered a non-covered service. But again, you all know that, right? Who wrote all these things because you know the law so well.
Yep.
Next one, quote, looks like they don't know the law. Quote, looks like the X in the sub-column are the services marked that will be submitted to insurance. I guess this is one way to offset a giant insurance write-off. Very good, Miss J. She continues, I wonder what the policy is on refusing some of those services. The policy is, Miss J, that they can choose what they want to have done. Mm-hmm. She continues, looks like $25 a pop for an intraoral pick, and those medications, they're charging for the anesthetic and the physical procedure of the shot. Wow. I'm surprised there's not a charge for 2x2s and gloves. Well, I want to stop right there because I'm sure that I'm looking at your picture. You've not been in dentistry as long as I have, but back in the day, the OSHA code was used for gloves and masks. Is that interesting?
What's interesting is she puts in the note there, it looks like the X in the sub, if you go back to that real quick,
yeah, but it's going to continue right here.
It's actually contrary. That's not, it says it means the insurance plan is,
that's submitted. They submitted those.
No, the X, that's in Dentrix, and I have to be familiar with the software. That's not what the X means.
Oh.
The X means it's usually not a covered code. It kind of helps.
Oh, the X. Oh.
Sub. Let me look at that. Sub.
It's a different software.
There you go. Different software.
Here's the bottom line. Well, let's just continue. Next quote. Right. I also just noted the X mark in the subcolumn. It looks like they didn't even submit the D0350 to insurance, which you're right. They should have, because insurance, that's
what we're trying to say. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in this software, it's
in the system, sometimes offices I've seen have put an X next to certain services that they know are not covered by insurance to help Dentrix assume that the patient portion is 100%. Now, they do still send CDT codes to insurance. That 0350 should go to insurance. You contracted to send it to insurance, so you need to. But sometimes when I see that X next to a code, it helps Dentrix, because if they didn't put an X there, it would assume it was a diagnostic procedure covered at 100%. And so if they put an X next to some of these codes, sometimes it will trick Dentrix into thinking patient's responsible, and it helps with estimating more accurately.
Yeah, it's so amazing how all the softwares have a little different twist on them. I'm going to call them. Oh, see, it looks like they didn't even submit the D0350 to insurance, so I'm going to call them about that Monday. Thanks for noticing that.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Yeah, that's what I'm. And then another person says that X in the subcolumn means the insurance plan is downgrading to paying amalgam fees. That's what there you go, honey. You got it. So Tracy has to know 27 different softwares, and Lord help her. We pray for her all the time. Imagine all of you trying to fully understand 27 different softwares out there. And then it says substituting the allowed amalgam fee for the allowed composite fees. Still, that math is missing something, though. But that person, Miss M, you did good. That's right. That is correct. So did you want to add something, sweetheart?
Well, and it depends on the software, because some softwares you can actually mark codes to accommodate for downgrading. If the company is using the system, I think that X has nothing to do with downgrading. So it just depends on the software. And again, we'd have to look into it to see why it's there.
Yeah.
I don't.
This wasn't Dentrix. I didn't think it didn't look like a Dentrix. Well,
yeah, and maybe that
I could be wrong though.
Yeah.
It didn't look like a Dentrix chart, but this kind of looks like a Dentrix thing here, but maybe not. I don't know. Anyway, next person says, quote, if this office is a network, this isn't even legal. I'm shocked that they are charging for most of these things. End of quote. Once again, Miss E, you're wrong.
So again,
you front row seat at the convention. You're invited. Call us and we'll give you a VIP seat. Okay.
So again, we'll talk legality here. Number one, in the contract, you're paid for the least expensive. Anything above and beyond is not covered by the plan. Our state and many states have non-covered services laws. So as far as legality, I'm not worried about that at all. And again, what's the right thing to do?
Offer the patient choice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So next person says, quote, they are unbundling their fees. In other words, they are nickel and diming the patient. Several practice management consultants are popping up nowadays, teaching offices how to do this. In my opinion, this is super shady and huge money grab, end of quote. Well, my good friend, Miss K, all I can say is you don't know what the hell you're talking about. And number one. Number two, again, you don't know your direct operating cost per hour. You don't understand, number three, cost of goods associated with direct operating cost per hour. Number four, the only person being nickeled and dimed is every dental office on a PPO plan. Number five, how do you expect to get wage increases and cash flow and being able to pay for technology and everything else in your practice if you're not profitable? So I'm going to ask you a question. What procedures are you actually profitable on based upon your DOC per hour? And I know you have no idea what I'm talking about. Please, you're the one that needs the training. It's not nickel and diming. It's being paid fairly for the services you provide instead of giving them away. So we all know that composite fills based upon traditional billing, you're in the red on. Why wouldn't you want to be in the black? Aren't you an office manager? I'm curious. Shouldn't you be looking for opportunities, not obstacles? Again, my question. Next one, quote, wow, even if this were an out-of-network provider, it's unethical. God, here we go. Oh, my gosh. The ethical police that have no idea what they're talking about. Continuing on, an out-of-network provider can charge what they want, but most will just raise their price for services. Correct. Not nickel and dime you. Okay, I'm going to continue with the quote. The stuff on here is laughable, horrible. In-network providers have a different set of rules they must go by. Definitely show this to the insurance company. End of quote. My gosh, Miss H, why don't you just come to the convention? Front row seat, VIP seating for you. And let's just show this stuff to the insurance company and let's see who's right. And let's see who's wrong. Horrible? Is it horrible to be profitable? This has been the problem in dentistry. We are afraid to charge for what we do. Laughable? The only one laughing is everybody who's been trained by us who's on this thread. They're laughing and they're crying at the same time because they understand that you don't know what you don't know. And here's the other interesting thing. You bring in out-of-network providers. Okay, so if you can charge, I'm looking at this, if you can charge $500-$600 for a couple fillings with being on your fee-for-service patients, well, aren't you nickel and diming your fee-for-service patient then? If you can charge $624.50 on a fee-for, wouldn't that be considered nickel and diming? Because you're charging way too much.
Yeah.
I mean, you should feel guilty because you're only charging your PPO patients the big whopping, what was it? They downcoded it already. So,
yeah, they
big whopping $100 roughly. Next one says, quote, is she going to an in-network provider? These C codes are considered as part of the procedure and they are unbundling as if they were a hospital, end of quote. That's right. They're charging like a hospital. And yes, it's not unbundling. It's actually full transparency, just like you read in your contracts. And here we go. Quote, next person. Oh, the author. Yes, they're in network. Is this allowed? End of quote. There's a bunch of replies below that I didn't even open up. That's just the same crap, different day. Yeah, this is allowed if you'd read your contracts and understand your state laws. Here's another one. Quote, my boyfriend had the something happened to him. I'm just reading how they conjugated the text here, okay? Quote, my boyfriend had the something happen to him in an office he had been going to for years. I happened to see a treatment plan he was given and flipped. He turned the treatment plan over to his insurance company. The doctor got a call followed by a letter from the insurance company telling her to stop what she was doing or else there will be repercussions. He now see us. End of quote. Okay, well, first of all, show me your source. I'd like to see that, number one. Number two, it definitely wasn't an office we trained. Number three, if it's an office that's using the high-tech law or a contract within a contract, these are both two companies that the insurance companies will not even talk to or work with. They talk to us, work with us, meet with us on a regular basis to make sure that we're keeping all of you within the confines of the contracts and state laws. They actually work with us instead of against us. What a concept.
Yep. So I guarantee you, if this office received a letter, it wasn't our person. It was not our office. Or if
they received some letter stating what? Show me it. Next person, quote, this is BS. I would run.
It's like a running thing.
Yeah. Next one, very shady. Next one. I am inclined to agree. I saw that price for 2 buccal posterior fillings and about fell over. We're in Utah and our fees are in the low end of the pot. So it was a shock. Okay, author, you just stated the problem right there. And that's why the average dentist in the state of Utah nets $96,000 a year. And if I were going into dentistry and that's what I knew that my income could be instead of what it is, because I know insurance contracts and state laws, and I treat my patients fairly how they want to be treated. Yeah, okay. Next person says, charging a dab of bond? Well, end of quote.
How much is bond?
Well, you don't understand how much bond the agent is, let alone the time to apply it. And the author says, right. Next person says, I'm in California and it felt low. Send help. End of quote. Thank you. I want to say your name. I really do. I'm in California and it felt low. You're absolutely right. Our clients from California, oh my God. This would be the insurance contracted
It's
fees.
very true.
The $624.50. That's exactly what they'd be receiving from a PPO plan in California, but not Utah. No, even with our cost of living going up. Here we go. Quote, ask for a pre-authorization on those specific codes and please take pictures of their faces. Laugh out loud. That will be priceless. I would love to hear that excuses. I think they meant their excuses. Laugh out loud. End of quote. Okay, well, again, front row seat, end of January, Utah Dental Convention. Hopefully you work for a doctor that supports the UDA and the ADA and, I have issues with both, but I support them because there's a lot of good. So you can have a front row seat and let's see I'm going to take pictures of the priceless expression on your face with what's going to be revealed in that live video of the My Practice, My Business YouTube channel. Oh, that'll be fun. Priceless. Here's another one. Quote, she unfortunately already had it done by the time I stumbled across her estimate. So when I called and asked just said that the ADA allows it somehow, which is why I decided to post on here and ask to see if it was common. I've been in dental for 7 years and have never seen it before. That, again, is the author. Good for you, author. So stop making your ridiculous statements about how it's fraud, nickel diming, whatever. You've only been in dentistry for 7 years. I personally invite you. I will personally have conversation with you and teach you what you don't know to help you understand how this is done. But more specifically, Tracy and I are inviting you personally. We got your name right here. Mm-hmm. We're personally inviting you to a front row seat at the UDA convention. Get your doctor to sign you up. Here's another one. Did they bill to insurance? Keep an eye on the EOB. Neither do I. And I've been for 20 years, worked with multiple specialists and own my consulting business. Never heard such a thing. Well, there you go. Consultant extraordinaire. Okay. You've never heard such a thing. Well, I just have a couple of questions. Have you read the contracts backwards and forwards and understood them? Have you understood and read the state laws? Have you personally developed a relationship with each and every dental insurance company? Okay. So you're 20 years, you are the blind leading the blind and the person that just doesn't know what they don't know. You too, sir, front row seat. Come on up. Okay. Here's another one. Check her EOB and see if it was submitted to insurance. Everything has to be submitted if it's paid or not paid. Trace, you want to handle that one?
Yep. Person starting with an L. Again, if your concept is there, then we need to be submitting electric toothbrushes. Internal codes for additional services that have no CDT code do not go to the insurance companies. We've contracted with CDT codes only.
Wow. But you would know that. Next one. Quote, I would definitely have her get a copy of the ledger and her EOP, but I think she meant EOB, and have a discussion with her insurance company. This is not going to go well for that office. Then tell us what happened. Well, my good friend Elle.
I'm not concerned.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Let's have it and let's tell us what happened.
Let's get on jail.
Yeah. Okay. Again, front row VIP seat, and you'll get personal one-on-one time with Tracy and I and our team. Okay. Here's one. Quote, looks like the office is trying to make up for the lousy in-network fees. My office is out of network, and I find it hard to understand how the insurance companies expect got to go into the next one, expect their participating providers to pay for wages, supplies, and overhead with these low fees. Oh my gosh. I love this person.
Good person.
Not only will you get a front row seat, Miss T, but Tracy and I want to,
we'll give you a little side hug and say hello.
Yeah.
You actually understand this. You're right.
That's right. And the insurance as we met with the insurance companies last week.
So last week, I was going to say, I had one of the insurance reps, because they know exactly what we teach. And she said, Tracy, I wish that these front office team members understood that we are a benefit plan. We need to acknowledge that. But it's like we give the patient a coupon towards services. And so I've never heard of an insurance rep actually say it this way, but she said, honestly, here's a $700 coupon for you to use towards this service. And patient, if there are additional things that go above and beyond, they're your responsibility, but here's at least a little bit to put towards that portion. She goes, we need to stop thinking that insurance companies are going to regulate and pay for everything. She's like, our premiums are too low. There's no way in heck we're going to pay for everything. I love how frank these reps have been with us with the truth.
And my favorite, she says, we're not trying to put dentists out of business. we just want them to understand business so that they understand how to put the costs of dental care on the patient and not on us, because we can't pay for it with the low premiums that we take being in a competitive world that we're in.
Well, and interjecting here in this conversation, because again, we are reading these comments because they're rare. People are starting to understand it a little bit more over time. Part of me is frustrated that people are saying these things out in social media, and part of me is just sad because they don't know what they don't know.
And you wonderful front office team members, the dichotomy of dentistry, we put you in positions running $1 million businesses or higher, and we give you no business training. And your $1 million business could be doing 1.5, and you could be making a lot more money than you make, especially working your guts out like you do, but you choose not to. You choose to look for obstacles and not opportunity. Another different Miss T here, quote, seems like an awful lot of upcharges to recoup their loss for write-offs being in network. Actually, again, Miss T, if you understood your direct operating cost per hour and what it costs for you to actually do the procedure, you would see that the corporate profitability is still low wholesale, and we're supposed to be retail business. Then we got another one. No anesthesia. She goes, no, period. Anesthesia is included with the filling. Many folks don't even need to be numb for these fillings, especially if a dental laser is used. Now, I just want to emphasize that even if a dental laser is used, you charge for it. You still have to be numbed a lot of the times. So is Scotch Bond is an adhesive, she says, continuing the quote, and $300 for 2 gum line fillings is ridiculous. Again, what's your fee-for-service fee, my friend? On Pharma is an additive to anesthetic, she goes on, to change the pH to make it easier on the body, but included in anesthesia with procedure. Well, she already stated that anesthesia is to be included with the filling.
Interesting.
Yeah, Astringent is to stop bleeding. The B surface is along gum line, so it will bleed. Well, thanks for pointing that out. So we definitely want to stop the bleeder, which costs more, increases your direct operating costs because it increases your cost of goods. Carrying on with their quote, it's likely because doc anticipates needing to trim gum line, and $50 for 2 digital pictures. This is upcoding.
Okay, so let's talk about upcoding too.
Oh, but wait a minute. Let me finish. This is upcoding and unbundling at its worst. Run.
Okay, so this one is interesting because she has a background clinical. You can tell just by how she's speaking, but she doesn't have much information in regards to the front office. And so we need to talk about upcoding because she's saying the word. You know, it's kind of like the Princess Bride. You keep saying that word. You do not understand what it means. Upcoding. Upcoding would be if a doctor's fee-for-service fee for a filling code, specifically like a 2392, right? Just a regular filling code. If that filling fee was fee-for-service fee was $200 and insurance said, no, your negotiated amount is $100. The doctor would then charge the patient $100 specifically to get that code back up to $200. That is illegal. You cannot do that. In our situation, looking at what we're looking at, this doctor is billing out for codes that might need to be done, is giving the patient a heads up on what might need to be done. He's going to delete the codes that he doesn't do, and he's charging for those additional services. And so unbundling, nope, that's not the definition. Upcoding, nope, not the definition. She needs to get her definitions down.
But yet, Miss C here, her and so many others, they stated as if they know everything about this.
Oh, and she probably is familiar with the network leasing, downgrading, and bundling protections law in our state, right?
God. Miss C, you could charge for anesthetic.
Oh, yeah, and you should.
Just like medical, just like veterinary, and again, the direct operating cost to deliver 1 carpule of anesthetic without buffering is $36.
And if she has the mentality of, I can't charge for anesthesia, let's go ahead and add another medication to the anesthesia be more in the red and just absorb the cost. And what office is going to do that? That's not fair to the doctor or the team.
Yeah, exactly. So then the author says, thank you. My thoughts exactly. Well, author, again, front row seat. Then she comes back. The dental board would be getting a copy of this if I was the patient. Oh, I would so hope so. Okay. And quote, and the insurance company because they are in network. Oh, let's do it. In fact, in fact, you can have that done. Just, bring them right to the meeting. That would be perfect. Okay. Then, let's see. Oh, no, I already had that one. Yeah, no, I'm good. This is, quote, $624 for 2 buccal composites. Actually, it was $624.50. Let's keep it accurate. $624, quote, $624 for 2 buccal composite. Separate fees for anesthetic, photo, hemostatic, bonding agent. Talk about bundling. Unbelievable. I think she meant unbundling, but again, they're not. Again, we've addressed that. Next one. Some local union insurances require us to itemize procedures. For a filling, we would bill out regional block anesthesia, the filling, and occlusal adjustment. We are in Pennsylvania. Good job, Pennsylvania. And we've got 2 or 3 insurance companies right here in Utah that are now paying for anesthetic since the passing of House Bill 359, which apparently not very many people know about this except for the person being attacked in this networking group and just one other person who's defending them.
I have a dentist friend who went through the MBA program with me, and he works for the VA. And the VA is very particular with how you should be billing. And some of these codes that these office managers are talking about, particularly with those CDT codes, he said he would get in trouble if he did not bill for those services as they were legitimately done and they need to be documented.
Oh, yeah. Here's another quote, and this is from Elle. And she states, quote, so those are their in-house fees for charges to make the treatment worth doing. End of quote. You get a high five. Good job. That's absolutely correct.
It feels so good having those voices of reason occasionally popping into these threads, right?
Okay, so here we go. Next one. What a bunch of garbage this particular office is trying to sell. Shameful. No, the only thing shameful is the fact that you don't know what you don't know, and you state yourself as an office manager, maybe. I don't know what you are in your office, but... yeah.
They're trying to sell garbage for me. I'm like, oh my goodness, they're selling better stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We're not using
then
cheap
the garbage.
And they're slowing down. They have more time to do the procedure, just like so many have stated, actually do a better job. Am I being too honest? That's the statement from the doctors that have gone through our training. Here's another one. Holy crap, what a ripoff. Yeah, don't ask your doctor for a raise either. You get a front row seat. Then here's one. Quote, I'm late to the party, but the fact that they're charging for Scotch Bond, that's all inclusive. I am mind blown by this out of network. I don't care. That's insanity to me. Again, Miss S, you're welcome with a front row seat too. Here's another one. The math in, quote, the math in the fee, primary insurance and patient don't add up. The amount they show as patient due appears to be less than their filling fee minus the insurance estimate. Are the other line items just there to show the patient what fees go into the 209? This is very confusing. I would be interested as to how this office describes the fee estimates to each patient. Curious. I love you, Miss H. That's right. That's exactly what our training teaches. How to present treatment, how to present choice so that it's not confusing. I love it. Next one. Quote, I've never seen someone nickel and dime a patient like that before. It's insane. Nope, it's called profitability in the practice by procedure. I know that's such a hard thing for many of you to grasp hold of, but that's what it is. Here's another one. Quote, this sounds exactly like half of the dental offices in Utah who work with the My Practice, My Business company. They now own a whole building themselves. It's crazy to me. Well, Mr. M, you know what? Maybe you should come train too. Mm-hmm. And maybe you'll understand why we're successful, why the ADA is working with us, why so many companies are working, why we have helped out so many practices across the nation by understanding their contracts and state laws. Instead of griping and complaining about how reimbursement should be higher, let me let you in on a little clue. They're never going to go high enough to make up for the cost of living index. Never. Their premiums won't allow it. That's so unless you understand how to present treatment and put the actual costs on the patient, you're going to continue to spin your wheels, and your doc and your team will never, or if you're the doc, you'll never be able to make the kind of money that you need to make to be able to live in the lovely state of Utah, whose cost of living is going way up, and we're on the bottom or second from the bottom from reimbursement rates. Again, the insurance companies know what's in their contracts, and they just laugh at all of us who don't know what we don't know on how to charge for what we do. Here's the next one. Agreed C codes are in-house codes. They aren't billing to insurance. And wow, talk about greed. That's crazy. Tell your sister she needs to go somewhere else. You want me to tell you about greed? Greed's in reverse. Mm-hmm. Greed is ignorance in reverse. Ignorance to business principles, insurance contracts that you all seem to be quoting left and right, state laws that you absolutely know nothing about.
Well, and I'm going to take it a little further.
Yeah, go for it.
If you are not willing to charge fairly for what you do and make profit for your practice, you would be greedy to ask for any type of raise, which a lot of people feel entitled to, especially in this economy. So no, this is not greedy. Greedy would be using only the cheapest of everything and refusing to tell these patients what their options are. That would be deceptive on top of it. It's just very frustrating for me to see the mentality and again, sad at the same time.
Okay, author, here we go again. Here's another quote. I just bypassed a whole bunch of them because I see that we've gone about an hour, a little over an hour on this podcast. I don't like them to go this long, but here's another one. Yeah, absolutely not. Honestly, I would report them to the insurance company. And then the author states, after this post, I'm planning on it. You know, I'm like,
keep me posted on that.
Yeah, let us know how that works out for you. There's I like this person, Mr. C. It seems absurd, although the real problem is insurance reimbursement. I imagine insurance companies turn a blind eye to this because providers continue, where was I at? To participate, even though they are being creative. Well, you know, at least you're not slamming what's being done there, Mr. K, but on the same token, you know, you should expand on that just a little bit more. And then the author comes back. We are in Utah, which is notorious for having a dentist on every corner. So our fees are ridiculously low, so I can understand, but over $300 for 2 posterior buccal fillings seems absurd for an in-network provider. She's kind of rebuttaling back to Mr. K, and that's all right. You know, it's like, again, you just don't get it. But then he states... that's a different person. Sorry, I saw the K. Yeah. Miss K states, I think the insurance company auditors would disagree. This is violation if in network contract. This kind of billing is what gives dentistry a bad name and leads to distrust between dentists and insurance claims departments. Well, Miss S, if you actually heard the insurance reps talk about what gives dentistry a bad name, it's not this.
Yeah.
This is what they look at and they go, oh, thank goodness an office that actually gets it, knows how to offset the losses that we give them by being a provider. They're offering our clients choice, which means they're taking better care of our clients instead of putting in a cheap offshore crown or the cheapest implant or doing 4 quads of SRP and putting them on forever perio neglect maintenance. They're actually taking better care. We appreciate the offices that actually bill this way and offer patients choice. So you couldn't be more wrong. And here's another one. Why all these codes? Anyways, the same stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to just blast through this stuff, which is really interesting.
That top one is important. C codes are medical codes. I've never seen overbilling for fillings. What office is this? I would contact my insurance and question this treatment plan. Well, first of all, C codes are not medical codes.
No.
So I don't, we're billing similar to medical. I think that's maybe what she's trying to say. But ICD-9 codes, and there are a lot of codes that I used to be in medical. Those are not medical codes.
Yeah. Let's see.
There you go. There's somebody's response right there.
The C codes. That's what the C codes they are using aren't part of medical coding. They are made up. But then she has C4421.
Yes, that's a medical regional code.
Yeah, that's a medical regional
so she's trying to make a point that they're not medical codes.
So then Mr. Ray comes on and says, C codes are not medical codes. They're internal office codes that are not standard billable codes according to the CDT. which is the agreed upon code set between the dental organization and the insurance organization. If this treatment plan was submitted to insurance, these C codes would be rejected, denied, and not paid.
I like him. He's got it.
You are correct. That's why they've asked us not to submit the created codes. Oh my gosh.
That's perfect. Good point.
Yeah. Someone who actually gets it. Well, I'm just going to, I don't want to keep, here's another one.
So look at the one with the S right there.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
On pharma is stuff that buffers the anesthesia to supposedly make it more comfortable. Well, it does. If the patient's apprehensive, nothing's going to make it comfortable. So I kind of agree with you on that. It's not inclusive of any services. So I think there is nothing wrong with paying for it, but they shouldn't be forced to pay it. You are dead
100%.
on. Front row seat, high five, come to the meeting. We'll have a price for you. I have no idea why you would need a regional block for one tooth for a filling, and anesthesia is considered part of the filling procedure. Well, that's where you're wrong. Okay. So,
and we'll teach.
Yeah,
she's teachable though, which is really cool.
Yeah. The astringent end is to stop the bleeding so you can place a good filling. I love that she said that. That would be inclusive in the filling. Well, actually it's not, but if you knew your contract, but you look teachable. I'm guessing the 3M Scotch Bond material is an upgrade, but upgrades are not allowed by some insurances. Okay.
Three insurance companies
in 3 different states, and the ADA knows all about them, and they're working on it. Okay. Actually, it's the same insurance company in 3 different states. Yeah. So all
other insurance companies,
the other ones let you do it. Yeah. That's funny. This is same crap, different day. Quote, tell your sister to keep an eye out for the EOB from the insurance to see if any of those codes were submitted to the insurance. If they're not in network, they're supposed to submit all codes to the insurance. Well, not created codes, but you are correct on D codes.
Well, but if she knew, there's a certain insurance company, very big in the nation, that has now stated that if you know that a code is not covered by the plan, you are no longer required to submit it to them. Now, I still say submit it.
But that would require
reading the contract.
Reading the contract. That's asking way too much. I seriously doubt this office submitted all these codes to the insurance because obviously this is illegal. Again, Miss R, it's not illegal. You need to understand your insurance contracts and state laws. She continues, and have your sister report the office to that insurance.
Okay.
Hey, we'll report them with them. How's that sound? We'll go there together. Same crap, different day.
Yeah, everything seems again, a lot of duplicates in there.
Yeah, it's people saying the same stuff.
They're parroting each other,
Yeah, it's kind of cool. We're
trying to find the really
good
crazy
ones here. Sorry we didn't go over these a little bit closer, but
okay.
Oh, there we go. Miss J here towards the end. The C codes are probably their in-house codes and won't be submitted to the insurance. Multiple codes that are inclusive for sure.
Well, it's just that last the sentence that was not true. So why are we really getting into this? Because I want to make sure that people understand that this information is constant out in the dental world, especially with the front office. And it's really sad that because you hear something online, you take it as truth without questioning the source, which is cite the source.
Cite the source. Now I want to read this person. All right, Miss T. After 27 years in dentistry, I attended training with My Practice, My Business, and I went in with many preconceived notions. However, I quickly realized how much I didn't know. This training was an eye-opener, and I'm so grateful for the knowledge I gained. Have you ever read a dental insurance contract? If you have, you'll see that none of what MPMB teaches is illegal. Everything they advocate is clearly outlined in these contracts and supported by state laws, particularly in Utah. I'm going to add, and nationwide, except in 3 states by one insurance company who's trying to change their contracts at will, and the dentists aren't pushing back and have piss poor state leadership in their associations. Did I just say all that? Okay, let me continue with her quote. In fact, MPMB has been instrumental in passing laws that protect dental professionals and the patients we serve. For example, they were a driving force behind the original passage of the non-bundling and network leasing law here. She almost got it right.
So this was the network leasing, downcoding and bundling protections law. And so the insurance companies can still bundle services. They just cannot force write-offs as a result. And we have a lot more stuff planned, which we'll talk about in the next podcast with legislation.
That we're not just working on in Utah, but we're working on nationwide with all kinds of different other states and with the ADA. Let me continue the quote. Before forming opinions based on hearsay, I encourage you to take the time to learn what MPMB actually teaches. You'll find that their approach is ethical, lawful, and consistently works to support our profession and our patients. Wow. That pretty much sums it up. But again, that's obviously a person that's been through training and understands what the large majority of all these comments that they don't understand.
Well, I'm going to kind of close my end with just a little statement on this. We're here to help offices reclaim forgotten profitability in dentistry again. That means that we need to look at things from a different perspective. We need to really read our contracts. We need to look at our state laws, see what we need to do in our office to get profitable again. And I keep thinking of the definition of crazy, right? It's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. We can't do this anymore. We can't keep looking to other people who are the self-proclaimed consultants that feed the same misinformation over and over again. And I was talking to you yesterday, Rob, and I said, who are we protecting? In this thread, I saw a lot of people not thinking of protecting the practice, and we're being taken advantage of right now in dentistry. So how can we go about ensuring that we can take really great care of our patients that we love so much, and also prioritize making the practice money? And that does require a paradigm shift. It requires a change in thinking. It requires you to stop and think about what you have been doing, what products you have been ordering, what you have been charging out, what you should be charging out, what you should not be charging out. How are you treatment planning your patients? Are you being transparent with your patients? Are you deceiving your patients? There are so many different things that really need to be analyzed in a practice to ensure that you're the best at what you can do in your profession and with taking care of your people.
I think that no greater words are spoken. We teach dentists and their team members what they can ethically, legally, and morally do within the confines of the contracts they've signed and within the state laws that we have on the books. And again, the whole narrative out there in the dental world is insurance bad, fee-for-service good. And it's interesting to me how everybody can charge their fee-for-service fees and not even bat an eye. But my goodness gracious, if you actually learn about insurance contracts and state laws and how to get your fees closer to your fee-for-service fee, everybody freaks out on that. It's like, oh, that's nickel and diming. Well, again, I'm going to ask the rhetorical question. Are you nickel and diming your patients who are paying fee-for-service fees for the dentistry you provide? And the answer to that question is no. Because the large majority, and I'm talking 95 to 98% of the dentists and dental practices out there, have no idea what the direct operating costs are to do a procedure, let alone what their direct operating costs are per hour to run their business. They call it some form of overhead, but they do not know how to drill down into it and see what it costs to do a procedure and then ask themselves, am I profitable on this procedure? Would any other business run a procedure, sell a product, provide a service where they were in the red? And the answer is obvious, no. So why is it that people tend to push back about things that they don't know? There's an old saying, those who know the least always yell the loudest. My friends, you don't have time to know the least. You've got to change your thought leadership. You've got to understand insurance contracts and state laws and know how you can ethically, legally, and morally charge fairly for the services that you provide.
And those people that we featured in this podcast, yes, we do need to address the misinformation or the thought leadership that you have.
Especially when they name our company.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you're going to name our company, then cite your source and prove what we're teaching is illegal and unethical. Go ahead and go for it.
But having said that, I want each one of those people on that thread to stop and really think about their thought leadership. And if they are teachable, if they want to learn more, if they are willing to open their minds to it, I encourage them to call us and talk to us, because that's where you will find truth and ultimately help your practice and your people.
And that's where in the state of Utah, you can actually make more money per hour, get a bonus or a commission, actually be able to provide for your family under the current stresses that dentists have in the state of Utah and surrounding states and across the nation. This is not a Utah thing anymore.
No.
This is not a Missouri thing anymore. This is not a Nevada thing anymore. No, this is pretty much nationwide that we're seeing the same problems of procedural profitability. So I'm glad that I saw this thread. And I'm glad that Tracy and I had this unscripted, most of our stuff's unscripted podcast to be able to say to all of you wonderful people who don't know what you don't know, you're invited. Mm-hmm. This year, Tracy and I are shaking it up. The UDA was slightly concerned with what we were going to do.
It's always
but we're always the troublemakers in the state of Utah and beyond. You know, It's like that's what we pride ourselves in, because nobody wants to address the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about the top 3 actual problems that dentists face: reimbursement rates, misinformation on EOBs, and the control of quality care being provided on PPO patients. Nobody wants to talk about those top 3 things. They want to, they skirt the issue. We hit them head on. You do not have to be in the red on your PPO procedures. You do not have to run like a hamster on the wheel 100,000 miles an hour. And at the end of each day, you ask yourselves, why am I even a dentist? Or why am I even a hygienist? They're killing me.
Or why am I even an office manager?
And now you just took the words out of my mouth. Because nobody understands better than Tracy and I how hard you wonderful front office team members work. And you're never, ever given the tools necessary to do your jobs easily and effectively. You guys are running around so hard and fast and doing so many tasks that honestly and truly do not need to be done. And that's what we train on. We teach you how to streamline your job, how to make the practice profitable, and how to increase your wage and everybody else's wages within the dental practice. What a concept. And that's where we should be. Last parting words, sweetheart.
Again, we were a little tougher this time around, but we needed to be. We're always going to be there for you. If you are in another state, reach out to us, if you have questions. We're always there. Unless we're teaching, we are available for you.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. And we hope you guys are teachable. Have a fantastic day. And again, contact us if you want a VIP ticket, front row seat
Right.
on the end of January 2025 to the Utah Dental Association Convention. Yes, we are pumping and promoting the convention for you to be there, because you're going to learn things that are going to completely rebuttal every single comment you've made on this thread, except for a couple of you. Thanks again. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you for being with us today. Since 2006, My Practice, My Business has been teaching dentists and their teams business skills, dental insurance contractual protocols, and state laws governing how to profitably bill patients fairly for the need-based services they provide. What's more, we guarantee our training, unlike other dental consulting companies in the industry. Simply stated, if you don't increase your net revenue, we don't get paid. We call it dental consulting the way it should be. We believe there has never been a more important time than now for dentists to experience and implement our key methods, knowledge, and business training within their dental practices. To learn more about our guaranteed, no-risk clinical business of dentistry training that is changing dental practices for the better, just go to our website, mypracticemybusiness.com, and surf our pages for additional information about our company and the services we provide. When you're ready, give us a call and get scheduled for the most profitable dental business training that you will ever experience. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call us. Thank you again and have a fantastic day.